Welcome back to On Deck Circle Podcast, brought to you by the Fantasy Six Pack. I am your excited host because it is my favorite time of year. It's not just kind of first year player draft season, but it's also trade deadline season. And Jason, this trade deadline has the makings of possibly being one of the biggest ones we've seen in recent memory. And I am so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. There's already at least like 5 or 6 teams that are guaranteed sellers. It's going to be crazy because there's with the new, they implemented that new wild card rule a couple years back. Almost everybody and anybody is available, or not available, but is in contention for a wild card spot. So there's going to be a lot of teams looking real hard at their own in the mirror and seeing who's willing to buy and who's willing to sell, and it could get juicy.
Do you know who's currently locked into a playoff spot now, Jason?
Brewers.
The Red Sox.
Oh, well, I don't know about locked in, but they have a good chance.
No, currently locked in.
Gotcha,
we have not clinched anything. But
Gotcha.
2 months ago, no, 3 weeks ago, we would have been like, that's crazy. But the Sox
15 straight.
They are buyers. And that brings me to my cold of a question of the week. It's going to involve Zach Neto. I want you to tell me, will Zach Neto be the biggest name traded during this trade deadline season? All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Jason.
Yeah,
I'm going to change it a bit, and I apologize for that.
That's all right.
The biggest name hitter that will be moved.
Okay. Good way to preface it, because I think it's a possibility he is, because there's a lot of pitching available, and it seems like a lot of teams need pitching. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be some pretty big names being moved at the trade deadline. Some we'll speak about later, but Neto could be one of the bigger hitters moved. There's not been a lot of rumors on hitters being moved, and there's no even guarantee that Neto moves, but the Angels are one of those organizations that just never seem to know what they're doing and just ran poorly. Zach Neto still has many years of team control. However, the Angels should use that to their advantage and get more leverage on a return, because Zach Neto definitely needs to be moved off the Angels. The Angels should be selling anybody and everybody, including Mike Trout, if anyone wants Mike Trout. Although I think he did come back in the IL, right? He's back, so I think Trout's definitely tradable. Yeah. I don't think he will, because he's just going to be an Angel for life. But Neto should definitely be moved. He's always been a really solid power hitter, but he's also a really great, decent year this year as well. Slashing 232, 324, 433. He's got 19 home runs, a 111 WRC plus. He's got 73 runs scored already, which Angels are one of those weird teams where it's like they're not going to win a lot of games, but when they do win, they can pop off and score some runs. Evidenced here by one of their front end of the lineup guys, 73 runs scored. It's going to be interesting. I think you probably bring him up because you're hoping he goes to someone like the Red Sox. Which is funny. Like last week, I was like, who does play shortstop for the Red Sox? I have no idea. And I looked it up, and it's Monasterio.
Yeah, he hit it last night.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you're hoping that Neto is on the wish list of the Red Sox.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly where I'm at right now. So yeah, I'm obviously in on Neto. The Red Sox did make a move for Curtis Mead, and he immediately broke his wrists.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this. Sorry to go on a non-Zach Neto tangent.
No, it's okay.
The original imaging was fine for Curtis Mead.
Yeah.
And then the next day was a broken wrist. And then Nick Kurtz got hit last night, and the original imaging was two like I need to tell you the exact quote from what's the coach's name? Mark Kotze was some like it's like a little fuzzy or something like that.
Well, it was weird
It
because I
was
was watching.
unclear.
Yeah, it was weird. I was watching the game, watching it live as it happened, and he wears
It hit him like dead in the middle.
yeah, and like at the time, it didn't seem too affected by it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. That kind of sucks. They just acquired this guy and he gets hit by a pitch, and then gets taken out of the game. And like you said, that night they're like, oh, imaging is clear. And then all of a sudden, watching the next day. I'm watching MLB Now or whatever on the MLB Network, and it's like Mead to the IL with broken wrist, and I was like, wait, what? I thought it was just like a nonchalant injury. So that I wonder if that causes the Red Sox to have some hesitation on any further trades made, because let's not forget they paid a pretty hefty price for a Curtis Mead. I was actually shocked by that deal, and I wanted to bring that deal up only for the fact that that was the big first trade made.
Yep.
And it kind of set the market, right? A lot of these trade markets are set by the team that makes the first deal. And if that's the price for, I mean, let's call it what it is. Conley Early is a stud, young, left-handed, controllable pitcher. And they traded him for basically a utility infielder.
That
now,
can't
Curtis
play
Mead
anywhere.
Yeah, Curtis Mead was having a really good year. So let's not take anything away from Curtis Mead. But before this year,
garbage. He got DFA.
Yeah, he was a waiver wire pickup for the Nationals. Turned him into gold, literally, and getting Conley Early from the Red Sox. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come for this trade market. Because if that's the trade market and that's the price of some of these deals that are getting done, I'm not sure a lot of these deals are going to get done.
Yeah, if Curtis Mead gets you Conley Early, Zach Neto is getting you Arias, maybe a Justin Gonzalez type, and then Kyson Witherspoon, which is steep. But again, you have to play like there is going to be no next season, because there very much might not be a next season. And I kind of think that's what we're going to be talking about with a couple of the other names that we're going to go over, especially these rentals.
Right.
So like in Neto's case, he's controllable. He's going to cost a lot. I also believe that some of these rentals are also going to cost a premium. And just to go on the Mead deal, smarter people than me, and I do not consider myself like, excuse the pun, a baseball savant. It's more of just under the hood. Early wasn't amazing.
Right.
He's a fine pitcher, but I think people view him as like a 3-4, which again, teams need threes and fours. But the Red Sox currently have pitching coming out of their ass.
Yeah, and so that's probably why I think they didn't mind giving up a Conley Early because they just, like you said, they have so much pitching and so much pitching depth, more coming down through the pipeline as well. So again, props to both teams, right? Like the Red Sox trade from
just
their
going to get what they want, but what's the main issue now is you wasted an asset for something that's not going to help you for this run.
Yeah, like at this point, they're hoping that you can get them back like
in September,
middle of September, for like a couple last couple weeks of the season, maybe make them last ditch efforts.
Wrists and hands are tough with swinging. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I know there's been some rumors swirling around Neto. I know obviously Boston's one of them.
Yeah,
Philly's one of them too. I don't see that Philly.
Philly has nothing. It's the Dave Dombrowski special. He is going to probably be out after this season. Yeah. Because Dombo does what Dombo does, except he didn't win a World Series this time. Just pillaging the farm.
Yeah, they have nothing on the farm. Any prospects that they did have not panned out. Justin Crawford's been pretty bad. Obviously, Andrew Painter's been bad. But and not only that, but if you trade for Neto, I don't know where you put him. I know Trey Turner's been bad, but they also have Bryson Stott, who's been good at second, so you can't even slide that over to second. They got Bohm at third, which obviously isn't great at the plate, but is really good in the field. So I know, like I said, I know there's been rumors of Neto going to Philly. I don't know how that happens. I don't think it does happen. But yeah, Neto's a name to keep on the lookout for in this trade deadline. Let's just get right into probably the biggest name that's on the market and going to be on the market, and that's Tarik Skubal.
Yep.
I don't know if he gets dealt. This is one of those weird guys. He's a rental, yes. Any team that is going to trade for him is obviously going to get the first opportunity to sign him. However, he's going to want, let's call it probably $300 million. He's probably worth that. He's been obviously one of the best pitchers the last 2 years, 3 years actually running. A little bit of a down year only because of injury. He missed some chunk of time, but yeah, he's a rental. He's currently got a 2.79 ERA, a 2.98 xERA. He's got a 0.91 WHIP, 31% strikeout rate, 27.3 K minus walk rate. He's currently ranked as the 19th ranked starting pitcher, of all pitchers on Fantasy Pros ECR ranking. So not quite top of the line, probably because of mostly that time missed. But Skubal's going to be Skubal, left-handed, starting dominant pitcher. Again, not controllable, so he's just a true rental with the option of possibly getting signed back. But let's be honest, most of these rentals, when they get traded, do not re-sign unless it's like a deal that we were going to look for on free agency. There's been a lot of rumors to my Cubs. I think he's a really good spot for like a Tampa Bay. I'm just thinking about and what Detroit would want in return. Tampa Bay obviously has the farm system. The Dodgers have the farm system, and that just would be the most baseball right now thing. Would just be him getting traded to the Dodgers to go for a three-peat. Well, that would be so apropos of the Dodgers to go with a three-peat, the first since the late '90s, just right into a lockout in 2027.
Yeah, it would be like I feel like there's like a meme where it's like when you're the reason.
That's what I was gonna say. Like
that happens or something. Like
yeah,
I've become the man that I once hated because you won the World Series.
Yeah, the Dodgers, like, you don't want to say that they're the reason to blame, but they obviously should probably take a big fair share of, why there will probably be a work stoppage next year as the owners become enraged at what the Dodgers ownership is doing. But anyway, that's a different story for a different time. Skubal, I honestly don't think he gets moved. He's just too big of a name. I don't think, like you said, we talked about no baseball being next year. I don't know if teams are willing to
pillage for this.
Mortgage their future for a couple months, unless it's someone like the Dodgers who has a wealth of a farm system and is looking
to trade Emmett Sheehan and one of their outfield prospects, whether it's DePaulo, Hope, Sirota, and like a lower end prospect. And that very much, what sucks is like that would be a good deal for the Tigers. Like what I just laid out, like it's just they have it, and I think they're gonna do it. My question to you is, if you're a Skubal owner in Dynasty baseball, you want him to get traded, right?
Yeah.
As in, does he maybe get shut down at some point if he stays with the Tigers?
They would
a good faith thing, or like I'm good. There's going to be a lockout. Don't want to mess up my arm any more than it already has been this season.
Right.
So I think as an owner, I would definitely want him to be traded, especially to even like Atlanta would be sick. I can see, and like Atlanta is kind of another team that has like a pretty decent farm. Brewers I've seen.
Yep.
I think it's definitely going to be an NL team. I do think it's going to be one of those. I can't see Tampa actually sacking up and doing it.
Right.
But they do have the names, and then the Yankees will try and trade you like Clint Frazier and and Duhar and be like, nah, that's way too much.
Yeah, the reason I bring up Tampa Bay is, like I said, they have the farm system that's worth it. And as if we were recording this today, Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, he got hurt.
He left his start early today, so they may be in the market for a starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
But again, all of this is taken with a grain of salt because I actually don't think Skubal gets traded. I think the Tigers want to try and sign him up long term. But again, if they have some sort of inclination that they won't be able to re-sign him, you absolutely have to trade him because he's a free agent, unrestricted at the end of this year, and he can get you a really, again, even with a 3-month rental, he could get you a nice return. So yeah, and I'll talk about it briefly a little bit later, but the Dodgers just seem to be just would be so apropos of the way this last 2 seasons have gone and what they've been able to do and stockpile that farm system. It's easy to stockpile a farm system when you can just sign every top free agent on the market. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Skubal to me, I think stays put, but again, wouldn't be shocked if he does get traded because he's on course to be a rental for whatever team gets him. Let's jump on over to you were talking about Neto being one of the bigger names being traded. Let's talk about Hunter Goodman of the Colorado Rockies, who has been a bit of an enigma the last 2 seasons. He's already tied, back-to-back 30 home run seasons. He's already at 31 this year, which ties a career high and ties last year's total. Slashing 254, 326, 545. He's got a 120 WRC plus. Like I said, the 31 home runs, 60 runs scored. Get this, 31 home runs, but only 60 RBIs. That might be a product of the team that he's on. The Rockies are not a good team, and I don't think there's not a lot of guys on base when he's hitting those home runs. There's a couple of games where not that long ago where he's had multiple, I think 3 home run games, definitely multiple home run games. He's been insane the last 2 years, and he has 3.5 years of control left. He's still arbitrational eligible, so I don't know. He's just one of those trendy names. He's on a bad team that's going to be selling. Him and Jake McCarthy are going to be 2 names to watch from the Rockies.
Even Moniak might get dealt too. But it's so hard because you're like, is it the Coors effect? Is it what? I'm a big Hunter Goodman guy.
Yeah.
He's another guy that's kind of been on the Red Sox rumor mill. Especially now that Shea Langoliers is out for the rest of the year. That was another name that was kind of being shopped around, especially catcher. I think catcher is going to be a hot spot. We already saw one get traded, which was crazy. That was a weird one too.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. The one that happened last night
with Ohape and
Stillseth. Yeah, Stillseth and Ohape.
For a prospect I've never heard of. And then they optioned Ohape.
Yeah, that was weird too. I don't know if they think maybe they can get him down in the minor league system and work on some things with him because he's been since going to LA.
Yeah,
he's had a lot of ups and downs, man. Like it's the skills are there. He just hasn't been able to put it through. And he could be a perfect opportunity of old face, new place, like a new change of scenery for him. He could
for sure
turn it back around, and he could be a very serviceable catcher. Yeah, that was a weird move. I thought it was weird. They traded for him and then immediately sent him down. But yeah, catchers are going to be interesting. There's a lot of teams, a lot of competitors that don't have a top-end catcher. And also a lot of these teams, like the Rockies, right, they put Goodman behind the plate still. They don't really care about his defensive metrics, where a lot of teams are preferring to keep a defensive catcher in woe of a bad lineup spot. One of the teams that I haven't heard any rumors about this, but I thought this type of player and name screams Yankees to me.
Yeah.
Austin Wells has been awful this year for the Yankees. I could see the Yankees going out, throwing something at the Rockies. And then not only that, but probably getting him in. And he also kind of seems to be, I don't want to knock on it too much, but he's the type of guy that gets into New York and just completely fizzles under those bright lights of New York City. I love Goodman, but how many times have we seen the Yankees trade for somebody and they just kind of fizzle under that pressure of New York City? But he's been awesome, man. I'm curious to see where he goes. Like I said, a lot of teams. I also thought about the White Sox. I don't think this is not a type of player that the White Sox get. They need a catcher, but I don't think.
Yeah, Teal got hurt again because Teal always gets hurt. I saw today the Rays are in allegedly.
Mhm.
And so I think this was Ken Rosenthal maybe reported this, that any trade would need Franklin Arias from the Red Sox,
No.
and any trade would need Theo Gillen from the
Yep.
Rays. And I'm unsure. It's a controllable bat again. It's 30 home runs if you can guarantee that happen. If you were to say, Nick, you'll have Hunter Goodman hit 30 home runs for the next 3 years, would you trade Franklin Arias plus for him? I'd say yes. But
Right.
I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be a little bit of an interesting thing. Him and Jake McCarthy, I'm almost positive will probably get dealt. I've seen some rumors to the Houston Astros, which I think would be awesome. If McCarthy, I have McCarthy in a couple leagues. If McCarthy can go to Houston, although I don't know, he could be one of those things too, where it's like maybe he's succeeding because he's out of like those big markets and he's into a Colorado market where he can just be free and play free. I'm a big McCarthy guy. He's been awesome this year for Colorado. We'll see what happens if he gets moved at the deadline or not. Jumping over to another guy here that's been rumored around the market, and that's Freddy Peralta, who's actually having a down year, but so are the Mets. So the Mets, which is also kind of crazy because this is also the Mets' first year with him. And he's a rental at this point. He's been bad. He's got a 4.99 ERA, 3.84 xERA. He's got a 1.48 WHIP. He's only got a 22% strikeout rate, which is way down for his career. He's got a 12.7 K minus walk rate. Only has a 68% strand rate right now. New York has not been good to Peralta. He's another one of those guys that have been rumored to the Cubs, which we'll sneak peek. We'll get into a little bit later. I'd actually prefer Peralta coming to the Cubs. He knows the NL Central well. I think he just needs to get out of New York and out of that. I mean, I don't know what to call it, lack of better words, just a pitfall of what is the Mets. But yeah, Freddy Peralta, he could be one of those guys that I think could be had for cheap. Maybe a team's like second tier prospect. Like you're not giving away one of your top 10 prospects.
Like you're not getting one of those top 10 guys, or maybe you're not getting a top 8 guy. You'll get like 10, a 25, and like a 40 or something like that. Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It would also be funny. The Brewers should just go after him.
Yeah.
Just to like stunt and be like, oh, we'll give you like one of our 30 middle infield shortstops.
Yeah.
And it won't be Jet Williams or anybody even close to that.
I have heard the Brewers rumored linked to Freddy Peralta, which would be kind of funny, him going back to Milwaukee where he's had so much success. I know that going back to the Skubal thing, Milwaukee's been very hesitant that they are not trading Pena, Mate, Fisher, any of their top like 4 hitters. They have no intent of trading. So, why should they, right? They've never been on the huge trade market, and they continually have been one of the top teams in the NL the last like 5 years. So I don't blame them for not wanting to give up on a lot of their young prospects. They usually turn these homegrown talent into good talent. So, but yeah, Freddy Peralta to the Brewers would be funny. I think he absolutely gets dealt. There's a few names on the Mets that could be dealt. I've heard rumors of Lindor being dealt. The Mets are kind of like the Mets are like the Angels. They need to just sell whatever they can at this point and go full rebuild. They've got some young pieces that they look, Carson Bench looks decent. AJ Ewing looks decent. So they've got some pieces there. Christian Scott looks good. Nolan McLean looks good. They got some young pieces there that they can kind of build around. So they should absolutely be trading any sort of veteran presence they have right now. That's what I think about Peralta. I think he absolutely gets dealt. He's only a rental. So I don't got anything to add on the Peralta front.
I just want him to be traded back to the Brewers.
Yeah. It's funny too because I'm to the point now where the Cubs are not catching the Brewers, even though there's still 2 months of baseball and they're only 5 back. The Brewers are just one of those teams that are just going to continue to play 700 baseball the rest of the way, and they're gonna get 97 to 102 wins without a doubt. So at this point, it's just wild card or bust for the Cubs. So I don't mind. The only thing that would really make me mad, which was highly unlikely to happen, but Skubal to the Brewers would really upset me. Could you imagine an NL tandem of Mizorowski and Skubal in the playoffs?
Yeah.
And
And
then you
Kyle
also have
Harrison
Kyle
when he comes
Harrison and
back.
Logan Henderson. if the Brewers were to do something like that, though, they would absolutely become the front runners for the World Series. That's a team that could easily take out the Dodgers. They almost took out the Dodgers last year without Skubal and without Mizorowski. So, well, Mizorowski pitched, but he wasn't like he is this year. Let's go on to another guy here. And it wouldn't be a trade deadline if we weren't talking closers. And why not talk about the best one on the market, Mason Miller of the Padres. Padres doing just Padre things.
That's so bad, man. Last year's was just so bad and it didn't work. And now I feel like they almost have to hold him.
Yeah.
So they don't look terrible about it. But what will be interesting is if they do trade him, it would open up a closer spot. And that would be interesting, especially for this, because we are getting later in the season. Any type of saves would be great.
Yep.
This would open up for Bradley Rodriguez and Adrian Morhone, who honestly they might be able to trade him and get some good shit back because
for sure.
He's fantastic. In the end, I don't think Miller gets moved, but I think a fun team for him would be the Pirates. Because they're kind of a dumpster fire when it comes to their bullpen. Basically, I just say, like, hey, Padres, look at our top prospects. You're not getting Seth Hernandez. But, like, anyone else, like Murph Gray's been kind of getting some helium, like, recently. So that might be a name that they could move in this type of deal. I'd honestly probably go with Florentino just because, yes, he is a high-end prospect, but Mason Miller could be the closer for your team for the next decade. So I'm curious to where you're at, but I don't think Miller actually gets moved.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. He has 3.5 years of control left. He's basically not only just the best, he is the best closer that's in baseball right now. We saw earlier that streak that he had of like consecutive batters in a row, scoreless runs. I don't think he gets moved. You can't make that deal. I shouldn't say you can't because Preller's a maniac, but you can't make that deal last deadline and then the year later you're flipping him again for probably less than what you gave up. At this point, you just have to eat Mason Miller and keep him on your team for at least a year, if not two. This is why you don't try to, this is why you see a lot of teams don't trade for high leverage closers with tons of team control, just because the what you need to give up to get them is not worth their value in the long term. Like, yeah, you get their control on them, but who's to say in 3 years that Mason Miller's the same pitcher he is now and he's closing 40 games a year for you?
Yeah.
Just too much unknown in that market, so it's hard. That's why teams just don't really do it. They usually look for like the rentals and the setup men to turn into closers or try to home grow their own closer.
The Brewers, I feel like we've been talking about, would also be a very fun team.
Yeah.
Because they have like Milwaukee. Like you could go down Cooper Pratt, Luis Lara, Jed Williams, Josh Adam, Fishner, Payne. Like they could honestly, if I'm the Padres, I'm calling the Brewers, and if I'm the Brewers, I'm saying, all right, you're not getting Luis Pena, you're not getting Made, whatever. Take
right
3.
You could take like Fisher and like maybe a couple other throw-ins.
Yeah, Fisher, maybe Jet, just to like get someone that could play for you now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I want him traded to the Milwaukee Brewers.
Like I said, I'm out on trying to win the division, so I can kind of root for the Brewers now until we get to the postseason. But like, whatever move they make, if it's for whatever they make, they really have no glaring holes in that team, which is obviously why they're almost at 70 wins already. But whatever they add is already going to make them even better of a team because they're not going to be filling a hole. They're going to be like bolstering their bullpen, bolstering rotation, bolstering their lineup. It's like, you know what they would really be cool if they could add somebody? It would be like a power hitter. I don't know who's out there right now, but if they added one of those like weird, like only hits home runs. That's the only thing they don't do is they don't hit home runs. They
Like
lead
a
the league.
Jock Peterson, who would
Yeah,
honestly fit in there.
yeah, exactly. Like they lead the league in most runs scored not via the home runs. So the only thing they don't do is hit home runs. But I feel like since we're talking about closers and Mason Miller, I feel like it's a good thing to talk about. Is right now keep an eye on bullpens because you're going to see a lot of guys, whether it be seventh, eighth inning setup men, are going to get traded to new teams, and or closers are going to get traded from bad teams and are no longer going to be closers, and then new closer opportunities are going to be out there for you. So just keep an eye out on who's been, not to tout other websites, but Fangraphs roster resource will show you who was used in which bullpen, and if they were on a hold or if they were used in this and how many pitches. You can see, just kind of look out there, keep an eye on it. One thing I will say, I don't know if depending on which league you play in and when your waivers run, they did us weekly waivers, no favors this year. The trade deadline is 5 p.m. on a Monday, which most waivers run on a Sunday. So you're not going to get any one-ups on anybody for closer situations unless you put a waiver in on some setup men, in on Sunday. Like look for, like we just talked about it, Adrian Morion, guys like that have been like lights out setup men that could possibly be moved into another team or be moved up if Mason Miller were to be traded. Just something, little tips of the trade to kind of keep your eye out for some of the post deadline bullpen mix up, because it happens every year. And like you said, this time you were talking about it off air too. Saves right now are one of those categories in roto leagues that are going to be flipped upside down in the next 2 weeks, and you can find and exploit some of these situations and really boost your rankings and your stats if you can get on from the ground up. But again, this year's hard with the Monday deadline. Could be killer for us fantasy guys, actually.
Yeah,
just brutal.
That's a great point. If this were a few weeks ago, I'd say like Garrett Whitlock would be someone to add. Tyron Guerrero, another random guy the Red Sox have just made awesome. But Chapman is definitely not being moved now.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely just like pay attention to that, because it's such like a volatile time, because people see names get traded and their values just get upped. Like no matter who they are.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those things like most people don't pick. No one thinks about it until you get the trade deadline passes, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need saves. I could grab this guy, and it's like, well, no, you can't because somebody already added him last Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just something little tidbit to think about. I think another real quick topic before we get into some other hometown stuff. One thing I was talking about, we kind of briefly talked about it earlier, but buy right now Dodger prospects. The Dodgers are going to be buyers. They're always buyers at the market, and they don't hesitate to trade away their prospects. They have so many of them. I'm talking about guys like Z.R. Hope, Eduardo Quintero. I don't think Joshua DePaul is going to go anywhere unless it's for some.
Yeah, he seems like the one that's going to stick. But like a Tibbs could get moved. River Ryan could honestly be a star. He's 27. Holy shit.
Yeah,
River Ryan, Hope, Sirota.
Yeah, River Ryan had time at the major league level, but then he had Tommy John.
Yeah,
so I believe he just coming back right now. I think he just came back.
The guy that like could be a player
right
now.
Yeah, so think about it. I wouldn't go grabbing their like second tier and third tier, but if there's some first tier Dodger prospects available, they're gonna get traded because the Dodgers don't have anywhere to put these guys. And like I said, some of these guys like River Ryan, 27 years old. Now they might use him in their own system, but yeah, quick little tidbit: buy Dodgers prospects. The arrow's pointing up for Dodger prospects. Well, it wouldn't be an On Deck Circle podcast without some homerism. So I'll let you go first. What do the Red Sox and Cubs do at? You don't got to answer for the Cubs, obviously. But what do the Red Sox do at the deadline?
I think we end up with Otto Lopez and Liam Hicks from the Marlins. Unsure what we give up. Don't think Franklin Iris gets moved. Don't think Anthony Iacin gets moved. But I think those would really kind of solidify that, like, we're in it for this run. But some sort of relief arm, maybe like a Brooks Raley or something from the Mets, like an expiring contract reliever. But yeah, that's kind of my hope. Would love like a bigger name, but we did trade one of our biggest trade chips for Curtis Mead, who already broke his wrist. So I think I'm on the Otto Lopez, Liam Hicks train, and hopefully get a reliever as well. And like, you can never have enough starting pitching, so like an older starter wouldn't be bad either, like a Seth Lugo or something like that. But yeah, how about you for the Cubbies?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously all pitching. They're going to need pitching. I don't think they get a Skubal. A couple of guys that I do think that would be good for them are lefties. Like, I wouldn't mind a Robbie Ray from the Giants or a Reed Detmer from the Angels. However, they're both lefties, and we already have 3 lefties in our rotation, which, again, it's not a huge issue, but not something you want your whole rotation to be lefties. But those 2 guys I wouldn't mind. I think it's going to be like a Freddy Peralta, possibly even a Clay Holmes. I've heard rumors of Clay Holmes. I've also heard this morning Sandy Alcantara. But can you imagine if we added Edward Cabrera and Sandy Alcantara into this rotation in 2026? Just 2/5 of the Marlins rotation. I think they're gonna make a decent sized splash in starting rotation. Obviously, they're not gonna go for a Skubal, but I could see like even someone like a Gossman, but I don't think he'll go. I wouldn't mind a Robbie Ray. I think Robbie Ray is pretty cheap. Freddy Peralta would be cheap. Reed Detmers would be a little bit more. He's under team control, so it'd be a little bit more expensive. And then obviously bullpen help. We desperately need bullpen help. We don't even have a closer right now. I don't know. They're definitely not going for Mason Miller, but I don't know what other closers are out there. I know like the Royals, right? The Royals are already sellers. Alec Lang would be a nice one. John Schreiber. Those are some names to stick up from the Royals. Yeah. My ideal my ideal like high leverage arm for the Cubs to get would be Luke Weaver from the Mets.
Yeah.
He's back pitching awesome. He's been awesome in that failed starter role of setup man. Not quite good enough to be a closer, but very good in like the 7th and 8th inning. He would be my ideal bullpen piece. But yeah, pitching. Unfortunately, that's what everybody wants. So the price tag could be high.
Well, you could have had Connolly early for.
It would have been like
got the
Pedro Ramirez.
No, for Matt Shaw. That's just like a random player that actually makes those perfect.
Yeah, it would actually. I actually do think Matt Shaw gets dealt. He's one of those guys where he's like kind of like the Dodgers prospect. He just has nowhere to go. But now, not to go down too much of the Cubs rabbit hole, but I don't think they want to trade Shaw because both Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki are free agents after this year, and one of them will not be coming back. So Matt Shaw will most likely move, depending on what other moves happen. But Matt Shaw will be manning one of the corner outfielders for the Cubs next year.
Cubs question. How do we feel about Breggs?
Kind of starting to heat up lately.
Yeah, is he okay?
Yeah.
I know it was tough.
Yeah,
but
the power has not really been there. But I mean, this series in St. Louis has been awesome for him. I think he's had a multi-hit game every game this week. Even going back to the weekend. And let me real quick before we sign off. Let me pull his month of July splits. Because yes, it has been rough. It was rough. The first couple of months of the season were rough. In July, 264, 333, slugging 505.
Yeah.
With 4
Nice.
home runs, 10 doubles. Yeah, he's been a little bit better lately. Like I said, I know the last couple games, this last week. Let's see. Was this today? Today the 30th? Today, 2 for 4. Wait, it was 2 for 4 today, 2 for 5 the other day, 3 for 5, 2 for 5, 4. So it's like he's back to like getting hits.
Yeah. Being a decent person. One question before we hop off. Who is one player that's going to get traded that we did not talk about that would be somewhat of a big name?
CJ Abrams.
Okay. Mine is Jackson Holiday.
Okay. That'd be interesting because he's still young, but he's not been worth the juice has not been worth the squeeze for.
Or Adley Rushman. I think one of the baby birds gets dealt.
I can see that. They've definitely underperformed that team this year. So, I can see that too. Abrams, I don't think it's dealt, but it's one of those fun ones that like the Nationals aren't in contention.
Oh, I would give up anything for Abrams.
Yeah, like they already, obviously dealt Curtis Mead, so they're definitely sellers. They might be sellers and buyers, so they could maybe flip a CJ Abrams into some prospects and maybe a major league ready. But I don't know. That could be a fun one too. Love this time of year. We got 4 days, and we'll know for sure what happens. So come back next week. We will have a MLB trade deadline review and see what some of these names are at next week. All right, Nick. See you next week.